Our fighter verse for this week will continue from our study last Sunday morning. And so our fighter verse will be Romans chapter 8, verse 28. Now, before we read it, let's remember this, that one, it's a promise. It's a promise to be accepted. There is no doubts about it kind of promise. And what we learned Sunday is that this promise is built upon a premise. And really, starting with Romans 8, verse 12, going all the way through verse 27, Romans 8:28 is built upon those verses. And without that premise, what is Romans 8:28? It's really nothing. It is built, the foundation of Romans 8:28 is Romans 8:12 through 27. So two really, really important things to keep in mind, that Romans 8:28 is a promise. It's a sure, steadfast promise. It is to be accepted. And it is built upon Romans 8:12 through 27. So let's read Romans 8:28. And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose. And again, just a couple reminders from last Sunday. One, the important words that begin this verse are, and we know. See, it's sure, it's steadfast. This is not wishful thinking. This is a promise to be accepted, and it is sure. And we know, and then it gets very specific, that for those who love God. So it's just another way of describing Christians. Christians are those who love God. And we know that for those who love God, all things, not some things, not just the good things, but everything. How was it put last Sunday? Even the gunk of life. And we know that for those who love God, all things. I mean, just keep meditating upon that. All things. And when you think about yourself, your own life, you can get very specific with what all things mean. All things work together for good. Isn't that amazing that, go ahead and call some of the all things some bad things. That even in the bad things, God works together for good, my good, our good, and his glory. And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose. Just one last reminder. It's all about his purpose. God has a purpose, and he's working together all things for good for those who are called according to his purpose. So what I would like for us to do is keep reminding ourselves that the last 12 months, God has been working together for good for those who are called according to his purpose. So let's, as a church family, let's resolve that that's how we are going to look at the last 12 months, because we must, and because there's no other way to look at the last 12 months, because we have this sure, steadfast promise to be accepted, that as we look at what has been happening the last 12 months, we can say, and we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose. So not only are we going to look at the last 12 months that way, we're going to look at the future that way. That as we step forward in the next 12 months and the 12 months after that and the 12 months after that, we know that whatever awaits us, God is working. And he is working together all things for good, for our good and his glory, for those who are called according to his purpose. So will you do that? Will you promise me that that's how you'll look at the last 12 months? Because we must, because we have to, because there's no other way to look at the last 12 months, and because this is how God has directed our vision. Look at the last 12 months as we know that the last 12 months are being worked together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose. And will you promise me, will you join together and say, that's how we're going to look ahead to the future? That whatever lies before us, we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose. And so I would like for you to do, especially this week, since we're going to use Romans 8:28 as our fighter verse, as you begin your day, read that verse and break it down just like we did here in these last few minutes and reviewing from last Sunday. Break it down. Preach it to yourself. And then maybe each night as you lay down and put your head on your pillow, think over Romans 8:28. Will you do that this week? Keep fighting.